Hello, my name is Denis Halandzovskyi. Russia has announced the largest autumn draft in the last 9 years. From October 1st to December 31st, the Kremlin plans to conscript 135,000 men between the ages of 18 and 30. That is 2,000 more than last year's autumn draft, and officials emphasize that this campaign is broader and more intensive than anything since 2016. If you find this useful, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. And thank you to all of Ukraine's partners for your continued help and support. What exactly does this mean? First, the draft is a reminder that Moscow is struggling to sustain manpower for its war, while officials repeat the claim that conscripts will not be sent directly into combat in Ukraine. Russian history suggests otherwise. During earlier waves, many recruits were rapidly shifted into so-called volunteer contracts and then deployed to the front lines. Families of conscripts have already expressed fear that their sons will face the same fate. Second, the draft age was expanded in recent years from 18 to 30, broadening the pool of eligible men. The Kremlin argues that this will allow rotation and training, but in reality, it reflects deeper exhaustion of the existing force. Analysts note that Russia is facing unsustainable casualty rates, tens of thousands of dead and wounded, and needs a constant flow of new soldiers simply to stabilize its frontline presence. Third, this announcement comes alongside a controversial legal initiative, a draft law that could make conscription year-round rather than seasonal. At present, Russia calls up recruits twice a year, in spring and autumn. If the new measure passes, authorities could summon young men at any point, further tightening state control and reducing families' ability to plan or resist. Let's be clear, even if the Kremlin insists these conscripts will serve in training units or non-combat posts, the pressure of war makes those promises fragile. Independent Russian media have already reported cases where drafted men were forced to sign contracts under duress, sometimes within weeks of arriving at barracks. That means the line between conscript and combatant is dangerously thin. Why this matters internationally? It reveals the scale of Russia's mobilization problem. By drawing in ever younger and broader groups, Moscow signals that its professional army cannot sustain itself. For Ukraine and its partners, this means the war will remain brutal, with constant replenishment of poorly trained soldiers. For Europe and NATO, it highlights the human cost Russia is willing to absorb to continue aggression. And for Russian society, it means more families facing disruption, fear, and the possibility of losing loved ones in a war many never chose. What to watch in the coming weeks? Official statistics on how many conscripts actually report, signs of resistance or protests by families, whether the year-round draft law advances in parliament, and, critically, evidence of conscripts being shifted into combat despite promises. Each of these indicators will show whether this is truly a limited draft or a hidden mobilization by another name. Bottom line, 135,000 men will be pulled into the Russian military machine over the next 3 months. That number is not just a statistic, it represents lives altered, families torn apart, and a regime determined to feed its war no matter the cost. Please subscribe and like for more clear, verified updates. And thank you again to all of Ukraine's partners for their continued help and support.